Alright, I'd like to quickly point out a few of the advanced features part of Slide Schedule Pro. To get to a few of them, we're going to go up to File and Settings. So if we go up here to the top, we have Auto Save on Change and Save Revisioning. Now these two are very powerful when they're utilized together. So to kind of demonstrate them, I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to pull up another view over here so you can kind of see our folder with our project. I'm going to turn on Save Revisioning. Save Revisioning will create a new file, a new project file every time that you save. So I'm going to hit close here after I've checked that, and I'm going to make a change. I'm going to choose this last slide here, and I'm going to disable it. And you'll see here that there's a little asterisk after the Slide Schedule Pro, and that means that there's an unsaved change. I'm going to go up here and hit File, Save, and when I do that, watch down here next to this project file what happens. I hit Save Project, and a new project file is generated, and this has got a date and timestamp appended to it. If I were to make another change, let's say if I were to re-enable this, you can see that there's a non-saved change, and I hit Save Project again, it'll generate a new project file. So this is really powerful. Now, where it really gets cool is when we turn on autosave. So I'm going to go here to the top and I'm going to turn on autosave on change. And you can imagine anytime that I make a change, let's say if I were to let's say if I were to add another schedule to this, bam, add another schedule. There's no non-saved changes, and it added another project here. So you can see how powerful that is. So I'm just going to right click on this and hit remove on this slide, and bam, it creates another project right there. All right, so next we have global transitions and durations. So if we go up here to File, Settings, and we look here and we can see global transition duration, global slide duration. So let's say I'm going to go back here. You can see that they're all running at 7 seconds. I'm going to hit Run on this. This can all be changed live. If I go up here to Settings and type in 10 and hit Close, you can see these all running at 10-second durations now. And again, like I said, I could take this one and I could override it, slide duration, and make this one maybe 15 seconds. Bam, that one's now 15 seconds. Turn that back off, and it just seamlessly transitions to the next one. I'm going to go back up here to Settings, the global transition duration. Maybe I want them all to be a 1 second transition rather than a 2 second. There you've got that. I'm going to go up here to Settings and hide cursor over program output. Okay, great. So your program will be running on another monitor, and you may not want your cursor, you can see sometimes where someone may have left a cursor over the program output and you just see that cursor there all day. And so you're like, oh man, we gotta move that cursor. So you can hide cursor over program output. If you check that will make the cursor disappear when it's only over your program output. So that's really helpful. I'd probably have that one enabled by default for yourself. And then we have add default slide schedule on import. You can see like when I have a slide and I create a new slide, it puts a default schedule in here. You can have it not do that. I don't know why you would, but you've got that ability to not create a schedule by default. I would always want it to be there. Minimize the control panel on start. What that is when you first start your program up, you can have it just show in the system tray rather than have this control panel show up on the screen. Output aspect ratio 16:9. What this does is it crops your output to different aspect ratios. So let's say 2:1 right here would have black bars on the top and bottom, and it would crop that. If you had slides that were outside of that aspect ratio, they'd be cropped. But here it says if you're using the 2:1 aspect ratio based on your monitor, you would want to create a slide in 1920 by 960. That's a 2:1 aspect ratio. However, it's noticing that you are actually connected to a 16:9 monitor. And so it recommends that that's the default, so that way you don't get black bars. But you can choose to do whatever you like. There's this next option here, output hinting. So let's say that I'm using something other than the default aspect ratio. You can check this output hinting. What that does is that creates a white border. This is more of just a troubleshooting feature, you could think of it as, to see where the visible area of the output is going to be. And so that might be helpful. You can do it on all of them. You can do it on the native 16:9, or you can do it on the other ones as well. But that just gives you a preview. If you don't even have any slides showing at the moment, it could be on a blank show, and you want to see what area is going to be covered, you can check that box and it'll put an outline around that. Display output. I have mine running on display 1. You might have 3 monitors. You might want it to be running on display 3. You can do whatever you'd like for that. So when you change that, it'll show over there, and then it'll save this into the program's settings, so you won't have to set that every time. Disable slide on import. I kind of talked about that previously. And scheduling, you can drag a slide in and have it not be automatically visible. It can be disabled, so that way you can set up the slideshow while it's running, or whatever you like. So program output always on top. So what that is you can imagine you wouldn't want maybe windows or pop-ups or other things to show in front of your slideshow. You'd always only want to see your slideshow on that program monitor. So what that does is that just ensures that it's always on top. Now, you can imagine you might be in the situation where something gets goofed up, and maybe this control panel gets put behind that, and there's just no way, or just things get goofed up, and you're not able to access the control panel anymore. There's actually a reset that I built into the app, this keyboard shortcut. You don't have to see anything. You just have to hit Control-Shift-R, and it will reset all those settings back to the default. I tried to make this pretty memorable, R for reset, Control-Shift-R, so it wouldn't be like an accidental thing like Control-R or something like that. Control-Shift-R, you hit that, and what that will do is that will reset everything back to the default. So I'm going to even just hit it real quick right here, and you can see it flipped my program back to the other monitor, so you can see that running. And here it is on top. So I'm going to move this back over to display 1. So you can see how helpful that would be, setting things back to the default if you just run into one of those situations where things just aren't working right. All right, so I'm going to close that and show you, again, I briefly showed you the tips and shortcuts, but here there's a bunch of other shortcuts that you might find helpful. In there, there's Control-R, which is actually running the show, or running and stopping the show. If I hit Control-R on here, the slideshow stops. All right, on to the next part. Now this is pretty cool. I'm really excited about this next part. I really tried to make Slide Schedule Pro as open as possible. And so here, let's say that there is a slide that it's got a bunch of complex schedules on it, and you want to copy that onto multiple slides. You don't have to keep typing that in every single time. So I'm going to pull in another slide in here. Let's say there's another true or false one, and or whatever. Maybe there's another closed one. Either way, I'm just going to use this to demonstrate. I'll right-click on it and hit copy, and I'm going to come down here to true or false, and I'm going to right-click, paste, and paste slide schedule. And what that will do is, if I go down here, you can see the whole schedule has been pasted just as it was up here. So that's really powerful, and hopefully makes your work a little bit easier for you as well. You can still go back and remove these things as well. One other thing I want to mention is when you copy it, it's actually copying information in a text editable format. So I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to come over here and hit New File. And like I said before, we're going to come over here to closed. I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to hit paste. You could do this in any text editor. You could do it in Notepad, whatever. And I hit paste, and you can see it's all just Java, a JavaScript object. and you can edit this text, and you could hit copy on this. So like I could take this and let's say I could edit after hours, really late or something like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all that. I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go back to Slide Schedule Pro, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to right click on this, paste schedule, and bam, there it is. After hours, really late. So you could, if you're doing complex scheduling and you find the UI might be a little bit cumbersome for a lot of schedules that you're trying to put in, and you prefer to maybe generate the schedule with a script or something like that, you can totally do that. You can just take that text, copy and paste it. One last thing I want to mention too is that also goes with the slideshow. I'm going to erase these other extras I don't need. And I'm just going to take this Slide Schedule Pro presentation file, and I'm going to drag and drop it here into a text editor. You could do it any text editor like Notepad as well. And here you can see the whole slideshow in here. And you can edit all these as well. So you could imagine how powerful this could be if you integrated some scripting as well. So again, try to make this as open as possible. I'd love to hear how you guys are using it, and if there's some adjustments that I can make that makes it a little bit more usable or powerful for you guys, just let me know. Shoot me a message, drop me a comment down below. That'd be helpful. So yeah, so that's about it for the advanced features. I mean, there's a few other basic UI things you can do. You can adjust the layout here. None of this stays. This is just kind of, if I were to relaunch the program, these types of UI things will move back. They don't stay the way they are. But if you want a different workspace, you can do that. I can click off of here. You can see a larger program when it's running and stuff. So that's about it for the advanced features. So I'll see you in the next video.